Man, this league never ceases to amaze me. 14 weeks in the books, 3 weeks to go, and we have races in each league. There were a ton of negative scores in week 14, and when both of your started teams score negative, you end up on...
He's made a mess of it.
One of the races we'll be focusing on in this video is the race for relegation in the Kirsch League. Most of the season, it's been between weinke and Tony Banks, and neither of them did anything to help their situations. It's like they're both colluding to suck, to either make things interesting or allow mcnown a chance to pull the biggest comeback in BQBL history. Okay, maybe not the biggest, since Palko usually does it every season. weinke's 4 teams all scored 0 or negative, and he chose the worst 2 options. Tony Banks' team scored better, but he also managed to choose his worst 2 teams. The pressure will be on during the next 3 weeks as the nation will watch who will fuck up next. If you take a peek into Hot Top Picks, you'll see the magnitude of how much Week 14 sucked for just about everyone. The top 3 teams only maxed out in the low 30s, and the worst teams all had more than -10. In fact, 13 of the 32 NFL teams scored 0 or negative this week. That's over 40%!
I did the math!
The Kirsch League managed to start the best and worst team this week. The Cardinals and the Chargers were awash, so it comes down to the Turbush League starting the Rams, but then also starting the 49ers, ending in a mess of a tie. Entering into Moneyballing It, we find Johnny Football, who was responsible for the only good checkmarks from the Turbush League and Hot Top Picks. He wasn't scared about starting the Rams at home against a division opponent, and didn't need to think twice about starting the Cardinals against a stellar Pittsburgh defense. Combined with a poor week from Jeff George, boosted Johnny Football into the promotion race, for now. Finally, we get to this weird store called Relegation Watch 2019, where the only shopper is mcnown, who bought 36 BQBL points this week. He's still in 8th, but since 6th place changed positions, he gained 32 points from last week. Cade is still 62 points back with 3 weeks to go, but his hopes have to be improving a little. Time for the Week 14 standings. Johnny Effie Moxon complained after last week that he wasn't getting enough attention. Well, what's there to say? You're $1.75 in the lead. Even if you score below average the next 3 weeks, let's say 40 points, TSSS Win would have to average about 100 points each week to catch up. TSSS Win's best score this whole season is 87, and he has to start Seattle 2 of the final 3 weeks, so he's never scored 100 once, let alone 3 weeks in a row. Can't you just be happy that you're going to win your 2nd championship in 4 years so I can talk about more exciting things? Does TSSS Win even have a chance? Seattle's highest BQBL score this whole season is 30, and the other best score from any of your remaining teams is a Cincinnati 76. So I guess it's possible, but Win's way of winning usually comes from solid, average weeks, not high-scoring flameouts. Who knows? He's definitely due for some luck after that 2016 debacle. In 3rd, we find another awful week from Palko, who peaked in Week 9 and now hopes to at least finish 4th. After this year is over, we'll have to see if Palko's 2019 would register as the worst second half anyone's ever had. Wade Wilson drops back into the 400s as another Kirscher who started 2 negative teams this week. And as the commissioner stated in his email, it could have been historically bad if he started both the Niners and the Saints, which would have amassed negative 49 BQBL points. Jay Cutler started 2 negative teams last week and told himself he shouldn't do that again. And he didn't. Cutler moves back into 5th place in a week where 26 points was the 4th best in the league, yet he's still only a mere 25 points above the relegation line. Yikes!
weinke and Tony Banks
both have to start their worst performing teams,
Philly and the Pats,
once more this season, but both have to be optimistic that at least one of them, maybe both, will be in the Kirsch League next year. Finally, we have mcnown, who was only 8 points away from his top score. He should be riding Buffalo at least the next 2 weeks with their brutal schedule. Detroit has some tough matchups remaining, as does Green Bay, and he has to start Baltimore just once more. I would not count him out at all, and if Jay Cutler returns to giving out odds for relegation, I think mcnown's percentage might be down to like 75%.
Sorry for the long wait, Turbs. Can I call you guys that? It's short for Turbushers. I think I'll make it stick. Chad Hutchinson only scored 37, but it was good enough for 2nd best amongst the Turbs and keeps him 171 points above 3rd. Johnny, Chosen One Football, gets the game ball after having the best score amongst both leagues. Jeff George drops to 3rd. Interesting that you and Wade Wilson both have San Fran and New Orleans on your squads. They played each other, and you both started the team that the other one benched. I don't think anyone would have been surprised that it was going to be a high-scoring game, and thus be a bad idea to start them in the bad quarterback league. But each of you did it anyways. I like the risk-taking, it just didn't work out for either of you. But I guess if you start thinking like me, you'd be in 7th place, right? Ryan, I'm Still Relevant Leaf is only 86 points back of promotion, but his teams haven't done anything for him lately. The Jets have gotten better at the worst time, and now he's stuck with 3 playoff teams. Playoffs? Colt Quinn Whedon needed to bench the Bengals 2 more times, but Week 14 might not have been the best choice, as he instead started the Bears, which gave him a negative 40-point differential. Steve Grogan continues to mail it in, but his max score this week was negative 4, so it really didn't matter. Tim Tebow time shares my frustration with Denver, and Jamarcus Russell had the 3rd highest Terb score, and also picked his 2 worst teams. You take the good with the bad, my friend.